All right, let's jump to wide receiver. Who's in your top five?
So I got Cooper Kupp,
Mhm.
Stephon Diggs,
Yep.
Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown.
So I actually had the same one, but the only reason I'm not putting Amon-Ra in the top five is because I think he's going to pop up with a questionable tab for that ankle. I want to put him in the top five so bad. So if he's cleared, like if he's 100% off the injury report, he's not wide receiver 5. But since we don't know exactly what's going on, I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel as my 5th, because I love him in this matchup against the Rams. Remember, they play all zone defense, and Deebo just kills zone. Like that's what he's great as a receiver. And as a running back, he's still getting his 5 to 7 carries. Didn't really have much success in that Denver matchup, but Denver's a really good defense. But Samuel in 3 games against the Rams last year, 11 touches on average for 124 scrimmage yards and 1.3 touchdowns per game. So give me some MVP, Bo, in the top 5.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, the Trent Williams injury is massive though, for this rushing game. So I bumped down his yards per carry from 6.5 to 6 due to that injury. But yeah, I take her. He's right there. He's my wide receiver 6. I'm assuming Amon-Ra is 100% on a Tuesday morning, but he did pop up with that ankle injury. So I'm right there with you, buddy. Like they're basically tied wide receiver 5. We're splitting hairs here, but yeah, this is a great matchup for Deebo.
Yeah, now that the season started, I've kind of had time to like jump into some like data that I've been kind of sitting on, and I was looking at like just wide receivers. I have like the last 6 or 7 years of like the injury tag data, and just like if just being on the injury report and not getting like knocked off of it does knock you down like a good like 5 to 7%. Even if you like practice. So that's the only reason I'm not going to at the start of the week at least. But yeah, I want to put him in my top 5 so bad, because it's my guy, man.
I beat you
guy.
There. I beat you there.
My guy.
Sorry.
It's all right. So who you hiring?
Let me make sure you didn't take this guy. Romeo Doubs is my first one.
Yes, do it.
And he's my wide receiver 35 to start the week. The consensus is wide receiver 48. I don't get that. But he showed everyone why he should have been a high upside bench to start the season, because everything's lining up the way we thought it would, right? Yep. He has a 22% target per route rate run this year. And then we finally saw the playing time catch up to that. He averaged 50% the first 2 games, and now it was 94% last week. So if we had known that going into the week, you and I both would have projected him super high. So his time has finally arrived. Aaron Lazard does look more like a number 2, the touchdown threat kind of guy. And Dobbs is sort of filling in that Devontae Adams role that we were kind of hoping. So the reason I'm low on him this week is because the matchup probably dictates them running the ball a bit more. But when they have a spot where they're expected to throw, he could be inside my top 30 at this point based on his underlying usage. So that was very encouraging to see him go off in week 3. And then the one other guy I wanted to point out is Richie James, who really screwed me over on my football. Like, I mean, what a throw and what a catch to go over it. But with Sterling Shepard out, we'll need to monitor the injury report for Wan'Dale Robinson and Kadarius Toney. If they both miss week 4 again, Richie James could be a sneaky wide receiver 4 option, especially in PPR. So he's a guy to look out for. But right now he's my wide receiver 44. And that's projecting, Toney and Robinson to play a little bit. So again, he could be in my top 40 by the end of this week if both players are ruled out. So I'm super high on James as well.
I don't know. I think you're gonna learn pretty soon. Just not mention Giants wide receivers. Like it's always gonna be somebody different. Like the minute you get it's like, oh, Shepard's having a good game. Oh, well, not and he's hurt now. It's like James is having a good game. Oh, now Galladay's playing again.
We have enough of a sample size to kind of know the roles right now. Like obviously, like David Sills is floating around. Kenny Galladay's a disaster, but I mean this like slot role, this Sterling Shepard, Robinson, Toney role. I mean, James is the only guy that kind of fits that bill right now. So I think he'd be the only safe option. If all 3, I mean, Shepard's out for the season. And then if Robinson and Toney are out, that's James. I think we know that for sure. at this point.
Okay.
But I take your point.
As a Giants fan, I'm just saying, bro, like this is we talking about Daniel Jones and against with an O-line that just gave up literally the most pressures in like league history or something. Like this is it's tough. But I mean, no, he's definitely their top receiver in my projections, without a doubt. But I don't think I have any Giant receiver projected like in the top 60. That's just how I'm doing this week. All right. For me, I got mentioned Debo already. Tyler Lockett, I got up in the top 20, and he's the consensus wide receiver 32. And I actually wanted to get your thoughts on this. What do we think of Okuda and like these Okuda double teams? Like, is this gonna be a problem for DK Metcalf this week?
I don't know, because he usually does pretty good against man coverage. And the Lions are going to be doing that. Okuda has a ton of potential. I was that one of the reasons I was high on the Lions win total heading into the season, because Okuda had potential and he's showing it so far. I don't think he's at a point where I'm fading either Metcalf or Lockett this week.
Okay,
but it's definitely something to monitor, because he did do a great job again last week.
Yeah, and it's like him plus double. It's like they're not only just putting him on an island on Justin Jefferson, they're putting him on Justin Jefferson, and then they put a safety over the top. And so, Jefferson ends with 3 catches for 14 yards. Like Lockett. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's I did like, that's kind of why I took Thielen last week. Because I kind of thought that would happen. But when it comes to the Seahawks, I don't know if you can put 2 guys on anybody, because the other guy's going to make, between Metcalf and Lockett, you're going to pay. So I just think both Metcalf and Lockett are too good for them to kind of operate the same strategy, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Unless that's what they're planning to do. Like, we'll have to, usually later in the week is when I'm factoring that in. But that's definitely something I'm going to be monitoring for sure.
I mean, I think it's more likely than them putting him on Lockett. That's for sure.
No, I'm just saying they can't really do that on either one. Well, it would be Metcalf or neither, right? But I'm just saying Lockett will absolutely make them pay if they do that.
Yeah, Armani Oruwariye is the other corner, and he would likely be on Lockett the most. And he's given up a target every 4.4 coverage snaps, which is 3rd most in the National Football League according to PFF. So, like me some Lockett. Yeah. Mike Evans is the consensus wide receiver 27 for some reason. I don't know why that is.
People are just updating him being out.
Okay. It's like, well, I'm much higher than him on that. So play Mike Evans this week. I don't care if everyone else is healthy. Like, it's still Mike Evans against this Kansas City cornerback group, which is I think still kind of shaky. They're 29th in DVOA against number 1 wide receivers according to Football Outsiders. So I think that'll be a good matchup for him. I like Curtis Samuel this week again. He's averaging 10 targets and 2.7 carries per game. So I have him inside the top 30. He's still outside the top 30 in consensus. And I actually have him like literally one spot behind Terry McLaurin. And that might be being generous at this point, because Samuel's been more involved player. I know McLaurin caught a long one when Slate got hurt, but like me some Curtis Samuel this week against the Cowboys, because I think now you're gonna probably have Diggs messing with McLaurin, so I think you got to attack this Cowboys team on the inside so he can be the Richie James of this.
McLaurin 29 and Samuel 30, so it sounds like we're very aligned on that.
I think I got him like 28, 29 or something like that. So all right, who are you low on at wide receiver?
So I'm low on Mike Williams right now. I'm wide receiver 31, and the consensus is 17. That probably has a lot to do with Keenan Allen. Who knows if he's going to return this week? But I think with Herbert dealing with this injury, and Slater out for the season, they don't want Herbert to really stay in and wait for Mike Williams to stay open. So if Allen is back, I think it's going to be a big Keenan Allen game. Josh Palmer is emerging. What did I tell you? Like after he kind of got held in check when I had that over, he went off for 99 yards last week. So I think Palmer is the guy that I'm interested in this week in GPPs, but it's a game where the Chargers could be a bit more conservative, and that's going to hurt Williams. So I'm pretty low right now. And the other guy is Rashad Bateman. He's really tricky to project right now. He has a super high ceiling and a super low floor, I think. So right now he's my wide receiver 40, and the consensus is wide receiver 27. And he profiles as sort of a deep threat guy right now, as opposed to the high volume guy we thought he'd be. He could easily go off against the Bills. It's going to be a shootout. Especially with Micah high on IR. I don't know if Jordan Poyer is going to return this week. So he could have a big game, but you just have to understand that he has a pretty low floor going forward. His 17.6 ADOT means he's going to be very volatile. He has a 50% catch rate. So I can kind of see that going forward, where he's sort of like a glorified Marquez Valdez-Scantling kind of role in this. So he's just the guy I'm very careful about when it comes to season-long rankings. So he's all the way down at wide receiver 40 for me right now.
Yeah, Bateman has been really tough to rank because he hasn't even been running a route like over 80% of the time. But I bumped him up for this week. I think he's gonna have a decent game because the Bills they are playing 94% zone. And I don't think that's going to change with all the injuries.
Yeah.
Bateman is second in the league in yards per route against zone this year at 3.93. So I'm not going to get caught out and he's going to catch like 2 long touchdowns.
I think last year he was better against man though. So
he can beat man. He can line up on the line of scrimmage and beat man. But this year I think it's just more Lamar. Lamar is just taking it to. So I don't know. I feel you. Like if I bump him down to like his actual routes run, like all 3 games, he does end up my wide receiver 40, but I bumped him up a little bit for this matchup.
And I don't want to make it sound like I'm like, oh, he sucks, bench him. Like I'm just making it clear that he's very, very tricky to project.
Yeah.
Where he could go off here for a top 10 week. I am not denying that, but he's a completely different type of player than we drafted him for.
Yeah.
Sort of a high floor. I'm just saying he is a very high risk reward guy, and he's sort of in that sit-start range. So, if I'm like a favorite and I just need, 10 points from a guy, I'll probably go someone else. But if I'm a, underdog and I need a massive game, Bateman's your guy because he's going to get a couple deep shots. But unfortunately, that just makes him very volatile.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I've been struggling with ranking Bateman each week because it's like the routes are weird. Everything about the priors is like backwards. It's like he's a deep shot guy. So it's just like,
that's all I'm trying to say. I just want to get your take on it as well.
All right. Okay, for the prop, let's go with. There's a few guys I want to. Let's go with. Let's go with DJ Moore.
Oh, love it.
I'm going to set his over under for receiving. And he hasn't cleared 43 yards in a game yet with Baker Mayfield. So there's issues there. I'm going to set his over under for receiving at 50.5.
Oh, I was going to just say over whatever you threw out because I thought it was going to be in the 40s. Damn, I got it at 54.5. I'm going to go with over. Because I do think he bounces back this week. Oh, you wanted me to do that?
I always want you to go over.
Off the top of my head, I think his catch rate this year is like 39%.
Yeah.
So he's going to see some regression there. He's led the team in targets past 2 weeks. He's the same DJ Moore, at least with the underlying data. So I think he is due for a semi-breakout game.
All right.
So I like the over here.
Yeah, no, it's
great
tough.
line though. Great line, obviously.
It's tough with Moore. I don't know, like it's been ugly. But let's mark you down for that. All right. And what was the line we had for Jamal Williams?
68.5.
Okay. Got that. All right. Let's we did we go to the guys we're low on? I don't think we did the guys we're low on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So for David, cut that in and then the prop. Sorry.
I don't think you did.
Did you? Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't do the guys. Yeah, right. Yeah. All right. I'll make it quick. Allen Robinson is my wide receiver 48. He's consensus 38. I know he should have had a touchdown last week, but that's the whole point. Him and Stafford just aren't on the same page, and he's not getting yardage. And he's getting targeted on 11% of his routes, which is not very good for a guy that people are thinking about starting as a low-end wide receiver 3. Elijah Moore is outside of my top 50. He is the wide receiver 40 in consensus. Elijah Moore with Zach Wilson, who's expected to come back this week, averages just a 45% catch rate and 4.8 yards per target compared to 63% catch rate and 9.1 yards per target with Flacco. So it could get worse, especially now that he's got competition for looks with Garrett Wilson playing well. Conklin even is playing well and getting some targets. So it could be ugly. And then Darnell Mooney, I mean, he's still the wide receiver 44 in consensus. I don't know how. He's my wide receiver 62, and that might be generous. So yeah, three guys that people drafted is like wide receiver 2, maybe wide receiver 3s that I do not think you want to be starting at this point.
Yeah, no, I have Mooney, wide receiver 60. If anybody's doing ayahuasca, it's got to be the ECR.
Oh my God. Right. Yeah. We are recording this early Tuesday, so maybe people will kind of wise up as the week goes on.
Not that maybe they're seeing something with the ayahuasca. Maybe he does catch that deep ball finally this week.
He did have a couple drops, but you can't even guarantee the Bears will throw the ball like 10 times at this point.